Okay, let me talk about the quartz crisis coming. Like basically, the electric car will become the next quartz crisis or battery technology crisis. So some background on quartz crisis from Wikipedia. Watchmaking, the quartz crisis is upheaval in the industry caused by the advance on quartz technology on 70s and 80s, and replaced the mechanical watch, and it would significant decline. Got make the significant decline on Swiss watchmaking, who chose to become still focused on the traditional mechanical watches. And most of the watch production was shipped to the Asia, Seiko, Casio, and Citizen. So what we're saying here, like for the last few decades, the electric cars and the better fuel cells become more advanced, and over time, I would say in 2 decades, 3 decades, the me- the ice car will just be like a mechanical watch. It's still valuable. It's still, but it will become a luxury item instead of a practical item. So let's look into mechanical watches. They have hundreds of parts. It's not very accurate. A few seconds per day. Previous is state of art technology, but now it's like nothing, because we have much more accurate method of keep time, and it takes $200, $250 a year to do maintenance. The cheapest watch that usable, pretty much usable, is at least $100. As you can see, have a lot of parts. It's complicated. The more complicated things is the more expensive to manufacture, harder to maintenance, more likely to fail. It just how statistic works. But but nonetheless, it's a very beautiful timepiece. I like mechanical watches. The quartz watch, tens of parts, is very accurate, few seconds a year. Barely costs any money to maintenance. Every few years you change a battery, big deal, $2. Um, and the cheapest usable watch like Casio, like $10, you can just buy a pretty decent Casio watch. Um, so as you can see, it has just solenoid, printed circuit board, and battery. That's it. It's pretty simple. It's the simplicity make it almost impossible to break, and it's actually because it has a very very high oscillation frequency. The quartz make it very accurate. What we can see here, the mechanical watch resembles the cars, the ICE cars, internal combustion engine car, and the quartz watch is just like electric cars. It's very simple, impossible to break, doesn't take much to maintenance. In the future, I believe it will become cheaper than ICE car because of how simple it is to produce. So let's look into the detail of what I'm saying and back it up. Um, so as you can see the comparison, the mechanical watch and quartz watch. Mechanical watch have hundreds of parts, quartz watch have tens of parts. Is mechanical watch has over 100 times less accurate than the quartz watch, and infinitely more expensive to maintenance, and 10 times more expensive to produce. But nonetheless, it's a beautiful timepiece for someone who likes the mechanical engineering and stuff. The craftsmanship will draw people in, which I'll talk about in the later slides. For ICE car, as you can see, this is a very old-fashioned Mustang, which is pretty cool. Old-fashioned American muscle car. Has hundreds of parts. As you can see, the complexity of this, and the longevity. If most likely you get 150k. I'm not very into cars, but I think it's about 150k. If you're lucky, 200k or something. Takes around $7,000 per year to do maintenance. I got this information from online. I don't believe this is true, but it's nonetheless, ballpark is correct. I spend around $1,000 per year to do maintenance on my car. around 30k, a new car 30k. Um, yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful, well designed machine, and it sounds, for some people, the sounds of it is just so soothing, but nonetheless, it's not practical in the future. For electric car, it has three parts, almost literally, battery, transmissions, basically, transmission and motors, basically a very simple big piece, and DC to AC converter. Uh, so in my mind, it's just three big parts, and some people drive up to like 500k, but I mean it's debatable. So, but what's the big deal if one part break? Change it. Like for this complexity, like if you one part break, it would take more money to do the diagnostic than replace the car at the end. Like if one part break, it would takes, I don't know, thousands of dollars for mechanics to figure out what's happening. So might as well just replace the car at that point. But for this, if you find something wrong, change the whole thing. I mean, change the whole battery pack and recycle it. And it takes, so that's exactly why it's 10 times less expensive than a nice car, $800 a year. Now it costs a little bit more. For instance, like Model S, like 35k. But I believe in the future, the electric car will be much less expensive than the ICE car. The argument I made here is basically will back it up. So look at side by side. ICE car have hundreds of parts. Electric car have three parts. Longevity 150k, maybe 500k some cases. Maintenance 7k. Electric car 800, so 10 times less, and it costs almost the same. I believe in the future the electric car will be much cheaper. But if that's the case, then the electric car will definitely be the people day-to-day use. For non-car enthusiasts, won't be. Electric car will be an obvious choice in the future. So let's look at the similarity here. The mechanical watches is just hundreds of parts, complex, and it has the charm of the craftsmanship, just like the ICE car in the future. I mean, I'm not talking about like if the people are so afraid of there's no one gonna produce ICE car in the future, and it's gonna be sad and everything. But no, it just like the mechanical watch is obsolete. There's no real use. It become a luxury item. Like men have a mechanical watch when you are mid-age or like over 30. Having a mechanical watch is almost obligated, I think. It become decorative stuff, and for things like for car enthusiasts, ICE car will always be there. There's always be demand, so there will be production of ICE cars. On the other hand, the quartz watch is practical, accurate, cheap. The electric car in the future have long longevity, low maintenance, and cheap. So for people who just don't care about the detail of the cars and mechanical charm and craftsmanship of it, just want to drive it around and see how, just take you from point A to point B, electric car and going forward will be definitely the rational choices. What we're saying here is, in the future, ICE car will still be there. So don't worry. Those people who crazy about ICE car and just like and really oppose the electric cars is not quite reasonable, because from the history you already see like you're gonna be replaced. It's not practical as the technology advances. The quartz watch will be nowadays become more popular. But on the other hand, people who like old-fashioned mechanical watches, they still buy it, they still produce it, and there's even better and more advanced technology put into the mechanical watch that makes it so beautiful and versatile and more accurate. Same for the ICE car in the future, I think. Like Bugatti has a W-shape engine, and it's a technological advance, and this will keep going. It's not gonna stop people who enjoy the ice car. Even though the gas runs out, people are gonna produce, liquid fuels from biological matters. It's just how it is. People will still have it because it has its own raw mechanical craftsmanship that people enjoy. It'll become a luxury item in the future, nonetheless, but still people will enjoy it. That's my point. So, thank you.